very much for having me here, Rose. It's a privilege to be here. I started writing poetry 4 years ago and going out and seeing what other people do, and Rose was one of the poetry shows that I saw, the Empathy Experiment, which absolutely blew me away. So to be here tonight is a real honour. So I've selected some poems that go on the theme of where I belong and finding my place in the world, and poetry has helped me find a bit more of my place in the world over the last 4 years. So as an introduction to me, this poem is about my identity. I lived around Manchester for all of my adult life. I grew up in North Wales, my parents are from Northern Ireland, so I'm this mix of all of these things, and this poem's about that. My identity, my accent gives no clue to the origin of my blood, until you see an apostrophe peep through my name like a flowering bud. It's a hint of my heritage, revealed in printed form, but not my home, not my childhood, which are far from uniform. What team do you support? I take my pick, I say. Their jaw hits floor, their pigeonhole left empty, as my response seems to cause uproar. You can only be one, they say. But when 3 nations made me, I'm just not so sure I can agree. I can pick any of the places that made me. You shouldn't love a child or a parent more, so why a home? Why a nation? Why are they so impatient with me for saying 3? I don't doubt their love for their tribe, I just ask that they do not ascribe their experience to mine, and not see me as diluted, when how much I have been enriched is undisputed. My borders are felt in the heart, and in the change in tarmac beneath the wheels, as I depart from home to home. Sloncher to Down, cheers to the northwest, and Yakida to Wales. I know I have been blessed. Thank you. So that was one of the first poems that I wrote 4 years ago, and then I've come back to that theme a little later on in my poetry journey, and this is about the same themes. I am Northern Pi, P-I. I identify with the north of 3 nations of a kingdom united by a love for each other compulsorily unrequited. I am comforted by cliches I don't fit, for which I give praise, melting pots after all blaze trails. Pigeonholes are for those who like to pledge their allegiance at the top of a flagpole, but that is not what my identity is tied to. I have a more nuanced formula that is applied to and coded into the depths of my bones, and it's an identity I can never disown. I am Northern Pi, also known as the most northern person you'll never know. Thank you. So I'm going to take you back in time to me 30 years ago, age 17, in North Wales, going to one of the best clubs in the world at that time for me. It was a club called the Tiv, and the pages of the NME came alive back then. So it was all of the Britpop bands of the day were going there every single Wednesday night, and I had a blast. And this is about me and my identity then. I used to dance at the Tiv every Wednesday night with the indie kids, but a can of Red Stripe would last me all night. I wasn't there to get loaded. I was there to dance to Primal Scream in this haze of dry ice and nicotine that I didn't even smoke. Not even when it was offered by that older bloke from that band, because I presumed that must have been a joke. I was the kind of girl who'd liked the filter, really, naive and bewildered. I wasn't one of those kids who were cool. I loved to dance, but I was scared of breaking rules. I'd get home with change from a tenner, still not having made eye contact with that one fella. I hid from him in plain sight, with the boys who like girls and the girls who like boys. Always should be someone you really like. into his face. I dropped the hint, but I didn't like to chase, and he preferred his mates and the girl in the real Doc Martens. Me, well, I just had my dulcis fakes looking on, disheartened. Love lost its allure, but not one bit like the dance floor of the Tiv. It's the one place I know I truly lived. Thank you. And fast forward to me now. I was recently lucky enough to go on some poetry workshops, and this is a poem that's come out of that, and I called it The Shoeing of the Tame. Compliance, clasped tongue, tensed up, timid, tiptoed over a tissue-thin ambition that existed. But who'd listen? Rather give in than lead a life of conviction. Confidence shrinking like cellophane, wrapped up in knots, started to feel as good as it got. Instead, people-pleasing pirouettes of "it's fine, I don't mind," lies as people continually cross the line. Clinging to the lanes that were given, taking care not to seem too driven, sticking to endless laps of false security, trapped. Decades passed when this rage replacement service ruptured through once tame surface. Defiance set tongue free, taking over what once was meek. Defiance does not waver when they speak. Noticed how old obedient ways had collected praise, but that did not always equal pay. Compliance needed to move out of the way so confidence could smooth itself down like cellophane. Reclaimed and proud of the wrinkles that would remain. And with each crumple smoothed out assured, they get to see through a truth unobscured. Thank you. I'm going to finish with one final short one, which is a bit of a confessional piece. It's been 7 days since my last Dorito. The toxic orange residue in my fingertips has almost gone, and the salt levels in my bloodstream are simply high, not stratospheric. I keep seeing triangles where I have never seen them before. They're on the ridges of my house key, the microwave buttons at work. The shape of comfort is haunting me. Toblerones. They trigger me. But not the grab bags. You can't put your hand in those and put several into your face in one go. They're to wrap each Dorito though. But they've probably heard that the planet's burning like their chili ones, so they don't do that. They just know how to lure me in, and it's like Craig David said, a lot can change in 7 days. So I put the bag in the bin on Tuesday. I walked past the crisp aisle on Wednesday, and on Thursday and Friday and Saturday, even managed Sunday. I ate my last one last Monday. It's been 7 days since my last Dorito, and I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. Thank you so much for having me.
It's amazing to be here today. I'm not sure if I need the mic. But thank you, Rose, for inviting me to be here today. I first met Rose in Wakefield, and it was an event, it was a festival event that was happening there, and there was lots of amazing poets performing. And I was kind of new on the scene, but I was given this opportunity to share my poetry amongst some of the most finest poets. in West Yorkshire and beyond. And I remember seeing Rose, and you brought your spot and you put it down, and I just remember feeling like, wow, you know, she's so inspirational and she's so inspiring, and I want to be like that one day. I want to be able to be like so confident, because when she performs, she has this beautiful energy, and yeah, it just felt amazing. And not only that, but you were so nice and kind to people like me that were just starting out on the scene, and you've given me so many opportunities to perform, and give me a platform to share my own voice, and I think that's amazing, because not all poets do that, but you did for me, so I really appreciate that, and you're one of the most beautiful human beings and poets out there, so thank you. And I'm going to share a couple of poems. So this first poem I'm going to share is about, I'm a bit of a nature geek, and I love nature, and I've walked along the canal so many times, constantly walked along this canal. Mainly in lockdown, I found myself walking on there more, but every time I walked along the canal, it was always a different version of me, so it's just a poem about that. She walked upon the same path, watching the light fall into darkness and the darkness fade into the light. She always paused at the red streaks of romance that smeared across the sky, before the darkness cloaked her vision and wrapped its existence around her whole being. It fulfilled a part of her that was unreachable. Even for the flash of time it existed, she had walked many steps upon the same route, walking along the same cobbled path, kicking the same dust from under her feet, and watching as the same ripples pulled into the rings of vibrational energy. The rings never changed their sequencing. They always formed in the exact same way, from the depth of blue, a message only she knew how to interpret it. She walked this path several times or more, shedding 3 different layers of her, peeling back the skin that once built a fortress around her. It's now no more than a dead leaf that is crushed under her feet, for she walks now with a clearer vision, her open wounded heart no longer hidden. She has indeed exhausted this room, this path, her shoes, no longer hiding under the umbrella of her abuse. For this route was forever meeting different versions of her. Even when the sky changed its face and the seasons crumbled under the burning rays of sun, this path cleared her ashes that she had arisen daily from. No longer the same she, on the path she's walked along. Thank you. So I really struggle with positive poems. A lot of my poems are very dark and deep, but I made a thing to myself, I'm going to come here and try and read the most positive ones I have, because Rose is like one of the most positive people I know. So yeah, these are kind of the light-hearted ones, and it's called Do You Have Moments? Do you have moments that release, where you want to be loved and hugged and touched, so much where warm arms embrace around your waist, and you're held there? In that silence, in that space, is the days you crave to be touched, to be wanted, to tattoo where you were last kissed. Do you ever miss his hands on your skin, that release that sensual feeling, that gentle kind of loving, that patient kind of knowing, that compassion he's showing, that delicate kind of loving, where 2 eyes cross rivers and oceans, sailing into a bed of emotion with just one glance? Do you have moments that stop their moments, and in their moments you wish to be alone, to be miles away from home, to be on your own, to listen to the wind and the rain pour, to listen to the howling of the sea splashing against the shore? It's easy to ignore what you're trying to escape, because when you're alone, no demon can take shape. And many hate that ignorance that is crucial to your existence, because sometimes being alone is what I crave the most. To be loved and to be alone. You cannot diagnose that weirdness, and I cannot explain why sometimes I love your nearness, and at other times I crave your disappearance. Do you ever have moments like this? Thank you. And I've got just 2 more poems. Again, this is kind of the lighted hat of my poems. So when I was younger, I don't know if anybody else has ever done this, but I used to have quite a vivid, wild imagination. And I used to lie under my bed when I was a kid, and I used to pretend, because when I was a kid we was quite poor, we didn't have much food and much out of anything, to be honest. So I used to imagine that under my covers I had like this magical shop, and I could get all the most amazing food and sweets, and it was a place of safety and comfort. So this is just called Wake Me Up Tomorrow. Stay under the covers, my love, for here is where the forest grows, where the light dances with the darkness and monsters are afraid of your demons. Here is where roses paint your cheeks and daisies clothe your skin. For here, my love, is a space that no one can get in. This is your safe haven, your creation. Those sweets that you tasted are a pure piece of your imagination that you hold so sacred. For no one can enter the gates of your paradise. This is where your empty belly lies, now filled with all the fruits of paradise, leaving the warmth clinging to your insides, the sweets that sweeten your bitter afternoon. For her screams can wait outside your room. Hum, dear girl, hum to the tune of your own silence, for here violence cannot reach you. And if your doors are rattled and your windows shake, just play dead, dear girl, just play dead. If they find the entrance to the trees that weave in and out of your sheets that encase your bed, be ready to roar, girl. Be ready to claw your way out. For now you are safe, encased in the arms of your own protection. Just dream, dear girl, just dream. Thank you. This is my final poem is one that I wrote as part of an exhibition for women. We had a photographer and she took lots of images of women, how they felt represented and how they felt confident and comfortable. And I created a poem called She is a Goddess, and I think everybody's a goddess. So yeah, this is a poem for everybody who feels like a goddess. She's a goddess. She's a goddess of this earth, of this whole universe. She's the wild wind that blows in the breeze, that leaves that summer essence clinging to our memories. She is the herbal remedy that quenches your thirst on a summer's evening. She is the rays of sun that reflect on your skin and you get that sensual feeling. She nurtures every heart beating. From the earth she rises, her body naked, unclothed, bearing her fertile fruits. Born from the elements of life that nourish her roots, like the wise oak tree, she inhales and breathes, embedding her strength through every branch, that swirls and twists, creating waves of ocean in her dimpled, stretched skin, that delicately sits on her loving hips, her body a painted canvas of art, dipped in the sparkles from the midnight sky. You cannot measure the strength of her heart, or the stories she's had to endure, her hidden pain and so much more. Her body is a masterpiece of art, of her resilience, of her strength, of the very length of every ocean she's had to swim. No matter how tiring her body has been, she kept going, moving every limb, climbing mountains and crossing deserts and never giving in. Her tattoos and the fine imprinting belong on her skin, like her eyes that breathe life and her cheeks that dimple in. Her carefully crafted ink belong on her skin, like the fine lines embedded deep under her eyes when she smiles. For I see the sunrise, I see the light of heaven descending in her. She's as fierce as a lioness roar, and as gentle as a raindroplet's whisper. She is nature, and from earth she devours her beauty. Unfiltered and carefree, she has this cosmic energy, this electricity that flows from her bloodstream, fusing her power, that she ignites in every wildflower. She is the mother of earth, the sole carrier that gives birth, granting life to a world, and she possesses that power. Her body creates life, and her organs to shift to make room, as she breathes life into her womb. As her skin stretches and tears into red fine lines of silk, the skin tissues of her breasts begin to fill with milk. Her body is a vessel that she nurtures and protects for her implanted seed to grow, leaving her skin outstretched, with extra layers of wobbly skin and a little more jelly clinging to those hips after the moon and sun entwine together. creating a total eclipse. She's left loving her extra jelly bits, lumps and bumps that cling to her skin. She's a butterfly emerging from the catalyst, her wings spread side by side. She doesn't hide behind the mask of today's conflicted society, nor does she listen to the magazines or media that want to change her reality. She stands true to herself, embracing her uniqueness, acknowledging she is enough. For this is her story, practicing her own self-love, smiling more and being kinder to herself, challenging those moments that affected her health. She is the yellow petals that dance around the sun in the meadow of golden yellow. Her morning hello is the first break of light, and her soft whispers leave the mountains longing to sit with her in the moonlit night. For she is beauty, for she is beautiful. She is real, completely unphotoshopped. Not a bottle sat on a shelf or a product that's been stocked. She has bad hair days with her smile always, for who needs hair to release a smile? For she is curvy, she is thin, she is breathtaking, an indestructible feminine, bold and brave and all-giving. She is the memories of your past and the stories of your future. She is the flutters in your stomach and the full belly laughs of humour. She is unpredictable, like the seasons when snow falls in spring. Unapologetic, yet truly genuine. For she is a goddess, breathing life into everything. For she is a goddess. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to move the mic to the side. You can hear me okay, I'm guessing. Great. I'll just probably hit it or something, so if you want to do that. It's my face. It's absolutely wonderful to be here. Paul and I were saying at the beginning of the evening, it's pretty much exactly 3 years ago since the first book launch, which was on Zoom. And it was weird, and it's so nice to have human beings IRL here, so thank you so much for coming along. And yes, I have a favor to ask, I suppose, and that is to ask you to think about 20 years ago. Where were you? What were you doing? Were you a child? Were you older? Were you here in the UK? 20 years ago, almost exactly, I had first moved to the UK. I moved up to Scotland, and I was just full of vim and naivety and wanderlust, and I did one of those really cheesy McBackpacker tours going around the Highlands, and was just filled with this sense of discovery. Little did I know what was to come over the next 20 years, but that is the opening poem of the collection. It's called Touching Down, Arrival in Scotland, October 2003. Touching down in a reality unknown, spirited away from memories sown. My day has come where the grass is green, my spirits soar and my tears are clean. Innocence walking in well-worn shoes, miles lie ahead and every day is new. Touching down in a reality unknown, thick with the stories of paradise grown. Voices of present and past echo through, beacons of light in a sky white and blue. Innocence waking from slumber of deep, new eyes behold a world beyond sleep. Touching down in a reality unknown, where my feet are is where I call home. Thank you. So I'm going to ask you to cast your mind back a little bit further to 1995. So I'm from a city in Canada called Winnipeg, and in January of 1995, a couple of really important things happened. One was I got my driver's license, and had to take my driving test in the snow, which was terrifying. The other big momentous event was that Hollywood actor Keanu Reeves came to Winnipeg to perform the title role of Hamlet. Was it the best version of Hamlet that has ever existed? No. Did 17-year-old me care? Absolutely not. Did I wait around in front of the theater ahead of the show to say hello, get him to sign my copy of Hamlet? Yes, I did. Did I wait around behind the theater in my mom's car after the show and end up in a car chase through downtown Winnipeg when he lost us in a car park? This sonnet is going to answer that question. This is Sonnet 1995. 20 years since you played the Danish prince on a cold January prairie stage. Recalling your performance makes me wince. Your presence in the prairies caused a rage. Although you spoke the speech with tripping tongue and sawed the air through less than skillful cries, your struts and frets excited old and young. You struck stars in my adolescent eyes. It is with hindsight shame that you should know that me, my sister, and her friend just might have lurked in my mom's car after the show and chased you through the frozen winter night. 20 years on, what can I do but laugh? And somewhere, I still have your autograph. Thank you. So this book explores ideas of belonging and my journey through that, and it's in a few different sections, and this first section is about place. And place has been an interesting thing to journey through because it can be kind of the bricks and mortars of where you live, but it can also be how you build place, how you build home through the people that you're with or the items that you might have around you, which is where this next piece came from. It's a bowl. It's just a bowl. Red on the outside, white on the in, chipped a bit on the rim. My fingers trace its curve, recalling steamy soup stirred, perfectly proportioned portions of porridge. There's plenty of use left in it to give, but this bowl is off to another home to live, about to be wrapped and bound for a charity shop. This bowl from a set I bought back before I met you, back when, a bit broken, I began my life anew, rebuilding, resurrecting my heart from the dead. This cheery, cherry shade of red started to feature in all corners of my home, reconnecting me to core courage I'd always known. Red kettle, red toaster, red dishes to hold, warmth and growth. Rose, I sighed to myself, it's just a bowl. But this farewell, if I'm being honest and true, is unexpectedly wistful, which I say aloud to you. Despite myself, I brace for a chiding, a scoff or a head shake or an eye roll deriding my sentimentality. But you don't, and I remind myself, you've never done that to me. I get it, you say, and I know that you do. You smile and you say, that time meant a lot to you. You open your arms, softly say, come here. I smile and lean in and blink away tears. The next day I drop off my donations, including the Red Bowl, and in truth I don't mind, knowing I now live in the heart of a partner who is kind. Cheers. So the next section is about body and the eternal quest of feeling like I belong in this collection of cells. And the first poem I want to read from this section arrived unexpectedly to me. I was in a workshop and we were given a prompt and we were given an object. We were told about an object and we were asked to think about the shape of this object and bring it to mind and write in response to that. And this is how I responded to the prompt of box. I glance at it every morning. I've examined it once closely with mirrors. I try to keep it tidy. maintaining its never-ending growth. It is nestled in my core, between crossed legs and underbelly flesh. It sits outside of their comfort zone. It lives in a space they are afraid to name. Haunted at times, holding and releasing lifeblood in moon cycles, holding power they fear as witchcraft, holding depth of feminine wisdom. It carries a lineage of fierce determination. Though life has not passed through it, my box bears a pulse. Thank you. When I read that out loud, I think there were a few people who were like, oh, I had a jewelry box. Okay, yeah. So this next one is in the body section as well, and it's a bit related to my heart, and the fact that I haven't always treated my heart very well, and I've let it get entangled into some situations that have been a bit tricky. And yeah, I think we've talked a little bit about time travel. I think, Lisa, you shared a little bit about time travel in yours, and we were casting our minds back a moment ago, so quite fittingly, this is called Time Travelers. Can we please go back in time? Relive, rewind, restart again through stolen nights from missing trains. I want to drink wine with you again, outside locked up village stations under frozen, starry constellations. My feet and fingers numb from cold as you hold me, sharing warmth in your embrace. I want to once again chase you through bed sheets, tangle your limbs with mine, let your fingers linger at the ends of the lines you traced on my skin. Let's draw a roadmap back to where we decided to begin. Did we decide to begin? How did you suddenly take up so much space in me? Let's retrace. Can we relive, rewind, restart from the part where coincidental journeys provided space, where we found we collided on common ground with shared reflection and this new and simmering affection, where possibility was abundant and hope sprang unchecked, when we bedecked each other with kisses, lips tasting curves, breath on flesh, when my soul stirred, when my heart raced. I want to once again taste myself on your mouth. I want to once again carry your scent on me. I want to once again let hope spring eternally, or at least linger again in the fantasy that I temporarily held of you and me becoming an us before reality struck that it would never be thus. Can we please go back in time, relive, rewind, restart again for clearer ways to navigate this beauty and this pain of seeing that our roads can't converge, of seeing that our journeys won't ever merge, of seeing that a fork lies in our path, neither of us with a knife to carve and craft a trail that we can travel together. Can I please go forward in time alone to when I'll have the wisdom to weather how to let our longing fade, how to release you and be okay. Maybe one day I'll see you and my knees won't go weak. I'll see you and I won't go red in cheeks. I'll see you and I'll be aloof and speak calm and wise and measured words. I've heard time heals. So for now, I'll believe. Eventually, I'll feel like I'm not gonna unravel. Eventually, I'll stop wishing that we could time travel. Thank you. Thank you. So continuing with this theme of body and belonging, this is also kind of about my heart. I learned a few years ago that my grandmother had an enlarged heart and that my mom has an enlarged heart. And I've never officially been diagnosed with this, I wouldn't be surprised. I guess because I try to pack a lot into my heart, and it sometimes feels so full of love and affection that I kind of don't know where to put all of that. And I've had complicated relationships with love, and ultimately I've just had to kind of reconcile myself to the fact that I am in love with love. This noun, this verb, this full-figured word renders rose-tinted visions for me, with edges gently blurred. When I think on love, it's like all of my senses awaken. It's like I've taken a spoonful of thick chocolate pudding to my lips, let the cool, sweet ooze and drip onto my tongue. It's like every sound I hear is sung as a sweet and lazy tune. It's like traffic noises croon. The manic panic of commuters is muted to a gentle hum. It's like warm waves of electricity emanate from every surface that I touch. It's like there's a rush of anticipation sending me wishing to run, leap, twirl through cartwheels to capture the rapture I feel when I think on love. And love, love loves to play games with me. Love loves to play rounds of tag, sending me racing and chasing after love's zigzag patterns, laughingly darting from my grasp until feet pounding, heart pounding, rounding corners at full speed, I catch love in a corner and need only reach out with my fingertips to whisper a breathless tag, you're it. But it isn't all sunshine and roses. Me and love, we have our ups and downs. Love can be absent for long stretches. Love skips town, slips down out of sight, and as I fight to find the corners where love languishes hidden, meanwhile I get blindsided and bitten by love's lookalikes, love's doppelgangers, love's wannabes. See, sometimes lust dresses up like love. Sometimes attraction dresses up like love. Sometimes basic human decency dresses up like love. Sometimes fear dresses up like love. And sometimes the resemblance is so strong that even though my deep inner knowing knows it's wrong, I go along listening for each sound to be a song, waiting to taste the chocolate pudding, putting myself perfectly patiently placed to feel an electric wave or spark. But I stumble and fumble a bit in the dark. Yet despite this absence of light, once you know real love, you know when imitations just aren't right. And maybe I need to look closer through less rose-tinted, less fantasy-filled eyes to see that love is around, just under a different guise. To hear love sung off the tongues of friends, to feel the love that's been sown into the family soil from which I have grown. And as I stumble and tumble through fear that love won't ever really reappear, I reawaken my senses to see that love is always near. Thank you. So we're going to move on to another section in the book, which is about writing. And we know the adage, write what you know. And I do, in a lot of ways. And this poem came out of the fact that one of the things I know quite well is toxic productivity and negative self-talk. And I added this into the set earlier today because earlier today I just found myself saying really nasty things to myself. And it is so frustrating, and I think there's work to be done on knowing how to speak kindly to ourselves. So I've written this as a rallying cry to myself and potentially to other people about how to look and speak to ourselves with kindness. Today I will look at myself with kindness, or at least I will try. My lenses need cleaning, need to wipe away smudges that blur, smeared on by a system set up to ensure I hate what I see. Today, I will be in the space that I take up. Try to give fewer fucks about how perceptions of me land. Feel less apologetic for how I move, exist, speak, stand. Fuel forgiveness in myself for ongoing fears about my size. Today I will realize that the determining male gaze also lives in my eyes, marring my view with grit and guilt and shame and grist. Don't I call myself a feminist? Today I will resist holding my handbag in front of my midsection when I sit. Accept that nobody actually gives a shit. Occupy my mind with outer considerations. Open up space for so many other observations. Today, I will forego feeling like a flake for the amount of energy I take in denying my desire to people please, in releasing my resentment towards those who have ease in their bodies, in their voices, in their passions, in their choices. I will note that no matter what others are pursuing, nobody really knows what they're doing any more or less than me. So today and tomorrow and maybe the day after that, I will look at myself with kindness, or at least I will try. Thank you. So this next piece is in the writing section as well, and I often navigate the question about whether I have children, and I don't. But I do feel like I'm a poetry parent, because creating poems can have its joys and tribulations and challenges, and no, they have not passed from my box. They take some cultivation and care. This is called Raising Words. The cafe clatters with noise, chatter of patrons, parents with prams. She sits in a corner and tends her words. Not an infant, but a page crying for her attention. She nurses this call, cradling her pen as words pour from the nib, stroking her notebook with gentle patience. Something new is being created in her hands. For a moment, she and her words are one. Nothing else matters in the world. A tiny hand on her knee stirs this reverie. A cookie-crumbed face looks up at her, wide-eyed. Sorry, says a breathless parent. I'd only looked away for a moment. It's okay, she says. The parent smiles, then sniffs the air. Oh, someone needs a change. In a swoop, whisks the child away. She decides to call it a day, to let her words rest a while. She scans her fledgling ideas with a look that says, don't worry, I'll soon return. Folds her notebook closed, tucks it gently into her rucksack. She carries the weight of her newborn composition on her back. As she approaches the exit, she spies the same parent grappling with pram and door. She holds it open. The breathless parent says, hi, sorry, thank you. And with their beloved creations, both head out. Thank you. This is wonderful and weird. I do a lot of hosting of events, and I really enjoy being the kind of person who introduces other people, so it is a joy to be able to share so much of my work. This is also from the writing section, and we've gotten to know each other a little bit through a few poems, so I am going to share a confession with you. I have to own up about a growing affliction. It's becoming a habit, could soon be an addiction. Can I say the words out loud? The shame cuts deep to the bone. My name is Rose Condo, and I use Rhyme Zone. In case you haven't heard of Rhyme Zone, it's an online rhyming dictionary. I tell myself it's cheating.
Guilty.
I tell myself I'm very bad. Mad. Sad. Not glad. Bad. And more than just a tad pathetic. I tell myself using Rhyme Zone makes me a poet fraud, which triggers self-loathing. I know that sounds odd, about how anxious using a rhyming dictionary makes me, but then I get caught up in a wave of anxieties that sometimes take me sometimes close to the edge of a worrying abyss. Replaying moments to the point of paralysis, spinning in spirals of dizzying analysis, declaring I should have known better than doing or saying what I did. It would be better if I just hid behind the pretense that I'm just fine. No matter, no mind. Mind, find, bind, grind, rewind, remind myself. I have tools for this, ways to edge away from the edge of the abyss. I could make a list of some of the things that make me anxious. Feeling like a fraud for using Rhyme Zone, the fact that nothing rhymes with anxious, telling someone I like them, walking home alone at night, never being thin enough, hairy bugs that bite, worry that I am too sensitive and take things too much to heart, worry that when I've eaten lentils, I'll forget myself and fart, being at a social gathering where I don't know anyone, worry that I'm too serious and don't have enough fun, guilt that I don't do enough to help others in need, guilt that my first world is built on gluttony and greed, worry that I don't read the right books or listen to the right songs, fear that I'm a disappointment, fear that I'm doing it all wrong, fear of getting cancer, fear of loved ones dying, fear of being alone forever, fear that time is flying. Okay, I say, stopping there to look at my list, resisting shame and guilt and regret as I try not to let these anxieties churn and seethe, as I try to breathe back to presence and place, with a lens of grace and a new way of seeing that it's okay to be okay with being exquisitely, imperfectly human and flawed. And using Rhyme Zone doesn't make me a poet fraud. And speaking up helps anxieties to ease. More trees, more bees, more compassionate sharing, please. So I'm going to go into the final section of the book and read you a few poems from there, but I want to just pause for a second and say a huge thank you to Sharena and Lisa for your compassionate sharing and being here tonight. It is just such a joy to know such incredible poetry pals and to have other poetry pals in the room as well. So yeah, big gratitude to y'all. So what am I reading next? Yes, so this is, I've done the final section about place again as well. There are two sections about place. And in the book I write about the fact that years ago in Scotland, my Scottish pal Malcolm did a palm reading, and my lifeline on my left hand is split into two. And I remember finding that really odd at the time, and then living my life and going, yeah, there was a division there that was a bit unexpected. And there's a bit of a division now. There's a kind of twinning in my life in terms of cities. So I live in Greater Manchester, and I've lived here now for almost 6 years with my partner, who's from Salford. And I'm from Winnipeg, and my partner is a proud Salfordian here in King, and will tell you enthusiastically he's written a poem called Salford as a Broadway Musical, but also has told me about music in Salford and Greater Manchester that's been hugely influential to him and to the city and to the wider world. So I've thought, like, I wonder if Winnipeg's got some music that's influential to me and the city and the wider world. And it does. So I have woven together lyrics and band names and artists into a poem called Sounds of Your City. Have a listen to see if you can count how many references are in this poem. You sing me the sounds of your city. I settle in and sit down in our house, all uncovered, to hear of your dirty old town. Guess who led me to say this feels like home, this charming man with your heart of gold? Half a world away, I was too Neil young to know one day like this would eventually come. Leaving was a bittersweet symphony. I do miss the harvest moon that rose over one great city. But no Blue Monday, only happy Mondays ahead, as I trade my prairie roses for your stone roses instead. These eyes make me weaker than an elbow to my heart. Only joy, no division. Love will never tear us apart. Because you sing me the sounds of your city, an oasis of an adopted home to 24-hour party people immortalized in song. And someday you will find me learning to sing along. Thank you. It feels weird to do a book plug at my book launch, but if you buy a copy of the book, on that page with the poem, there's a QR code that links to a Spotify playlist with all of the references in that song. So, except I think the Neil Young one is a cover because he's not on Spotify. And so one of the lovely places in Salford I really like to go is the King's Arms. Give a wave if you've been to the King's Arms. Gorgeous pub, it's a venue. I was there the other week for Verbose, which is a night that Lisa runs with 2 other wonderful people. Do check it out. There's a cat there, Charlie the cat, who is very cute but could not care less about anybody else. And it's a stop on Kieran's annual birthday pub crawl, a very epic pub crawl that we go on. And pub crawls are things that I've become a little acclimatized to in the UK. And they were things I really missed during lockdown. We missed going on pub crawls. So we kind of created our own at home, with each room being like a different pub. And we gave each of them a name, and thus this poem was born. Lockdown, lock in. The Rose and Crown was what we called the kitchen. The bedroom, the boudoir. The bathroom, the porcelain throne. Pub names we created on our own. Hand-drawn signs hung with bits of blue tack on the magnolia walls of our little flat. The distance between pubs wasn't too far. No overpriced pints. No waiting at the bar. No blaring tunes to drown out our chat. No bumping into pals. No Charlie the cat. No banter with a bouncer. No waiting in queues. I didn't wear a bra. You didn't wear shoes. Thank you. Thank you. So I am one of these people who aspires to travel light when I go places and always fail. I always am just this pack horse carrying loads of stuff with me. And I think that comes from wanting to carry with me home comforts of some sort, maybe to always feel like I have a sense of belonging with me. And I am a big fan of spiders. Give a wave if you're a fan of spiders. I know it gives most people the ick. But that sense of them having home with them wherever they go, that they can pitch up wherever they are, means a lot to me. And this poem is from that idea. It's called Spider. The elevator, that's a lift. The elevator was going up, a movement she hoped would help lift her mood, help ease the weight of the pack on her back. You look prepared, said the man who stood next to her. You've got it all in there. Brolly, bottle of water, everything. She half smiled, half heard him, half wished she could swap spots with the 8-legged arthropod she saw crawling up the metal door, carrying all it needed, she thought, watching it ascend to the ceiling, that feeling of climbing to any height, to set sights through 8 eyes on where to web up for the night, to weave a home anywhere she likes, to patiently craft her means to catch prey for her meal, not wanting to feast on flies she could yet feel a kinship, longing for her own arachnid gaze. Her gaze blinked back into focus as the elevator doors slid open. "Is this your floor?" he asked. "No," she said, "I'm up one more." "Your accent," he said as he stepped out. "Where are you from?" "I travel around a lot," she said. "I'm a writer." And as the door slid closed, she smiled, realizing how closely that rhymes with spider. I've got 2 more poems to share. I really appreciate you indulging me in being able to share this from my book. It's been a joy to craft this and put this together with the amazing Paul from Flapjack, to be part of the Flapjack family. They've published just so many amazing poets, so to be in that group, that gang, that tribe is really special. I write in the book about belonging. I mean, how to find where you belong sounds like instructions. I don't know, but I have written this book as a kind of series of reminders to myself of where that might be. And this next poem is a kind of reminder of where a lot of that feeling started for me, which was nearly 10 years ago at a night called Evidently. Give a wave if you went to Evidently or heard of it or knew of it. It was a fantastic night at the Eagle Inn in Salford. Yeah. And it was a place where suddenly the poet in me broke open. Dear Evidently, how can I put into words what you meant to me? You were run by a terrifically talented trio. You provided a monthly dose of Haribo. You were a place where so many friendships were forged. You were a bargain at a mere £3 on the door. You were to me and to many the best spoken word night. You brought the best of the best to Salford, which is a Broadway musical, right? You brought the chance to cross paths with Liv Barnes, Ella Gainsborough, and Kieran King. You were, for me, completely life-altering. You taught me how to climb up and through imposter syndrome. You made the Eagle a beautiful spoken word home. Your radio shows, slams, videos, and anthologies bring up an extra special thanks from me for giving me confidence to pursue this poetry path, for the guaranteed monthly hugs and words and laughs, for being there when my bruised soul needed to be filled, for being a place where my broken spirit could rebuild. Your groovy gatherings now live in memory, but the second Monday of the month will eternally bring echoes of you, concluded but never gone, evidently in hearts and artists. You live on. Cheers. So this is my last poem, and then we can eat more cake and drink wine and chat. Yeah, just a big thanks again to Paul for putting this together and being such a champion of publishing performance poetry. Thanks to Lisa and to Sharena. If you want to see a bit more of my performance work as well, there are some flyers around. I'm touring a show called How to Starve an Artist, which I think a couple of you caught in Morecambe. It has sandwiches and bubbles, the blowing kind, not the drinking kind, and talks about creative nourishment. My next show is in Sheffield, which in Canadian terms is just down the road. So if on Thursday the 23rd of November you find yourself really wanting to go to Sheffield, come and check the show out. It's in Wakefield in the new year, but hopefully I'll do it at the Manchester Fringe in July as well. Yeah, you can find out about my work online. And do I have anything else I want to tell you at the moment? Just thanks. Thanks for finding yourselves here tonight. Honestly, it means a lot. I can't cry before I start. But I probably will. How to find where you belong. Leave where you are. Leave where you are living. Whether that's in a city or in a relationship or in an awkward, uncomfortable place in your heart. Whether your departure is expected or unplanned, understand that where you are leaving may not be there for you to return to one day to live. Pack possessions that matter. Pack perspectives that matter. Try to leave behind the ones that don't. Try to embrace that you won't love every part of the leaving. Try to pack light. You can't carry everything. The handmade Christmas stocking. Posters from your very first flat. Shoeboxes of photographs. If you leave these things behind because you need to leave in haste, know that some things can be replaced, and what can't will always hold space within you. Feel excited and delighted by pastures new, navigate new faces and places, greetings and goodbyes. Some people, the saying goes, come into our lives for forever or for a season. Whatever the reason, keep going. Notice and feel grateful for when the path is smooth. Keep going. You'll stumble when the path gets rough. Keep going. It just helps the skin on your feet to get tough. Keep going. Except for when you need to break. Except for when sorrow and heartache catch up with you, disrupting you with a need to grieve some of what you had to leave. This grief may grip you stronger than you would wish. It may squeeze air and aspiration from you. It may drain desire and feel like it will never let go. Know that you have strength and grace to face it, and if you stop and sit and wait, your lungs will remember how to reinflate. Your hands will remember how to push yourself back up. Your feet will remember how to step one in front of the other. Your fingers will remember how to brush crusts of salted sadness and sleep from your eyes. So rest, catch your breath, then rise again. Keep going, take care, keep going, take it steady. And when something somewhere decides you are ready, a destination will appear, warm and welcoming, beckoning you from the inside out, and a voice of doubt, insidious and insistent, will whisper in your ear all the reasons. You tell yourself you are wrong here, you don't belong here. Face those thoughts, replace those thoughts, be bold. See someone hold the entrance open. Trust their welcoming beck and reckon. You've made it this far, it's worth stepping in and stopping in for a bit. And despite being new to you, it's likely this place will feel somehow familiar too. So much so that you set down your load, let yourself settle into this new abode. Because here lies friendship, community, all that you didn't know that you need, all of the ways to nourish and feed your body and spirit and mind. And in time that might be an instant, or in time that might be tentative and long, in time let yourself believe that you have found where you belong. Thank you all so much.